Hello everybody, welcome to our channel. I'm Chloe.
And I'm Becky.
So we are back again with another Name of the Wind video. What are we talking about today, Becky?
Well, today we are talking about something that is a very interesting topic, and that is the Chandrian. What are they doing?
Similar to our university teacher master video that we made recently, we're going to be talking about everything we know about the Chandrian. What are facts? What are theories? What are they doing? What are they about? What are they up to? I don't know. Becky, tell me. What's going on?
Alright, so I wanted to start with a pretty solid fact that we have is their true names and their true signs. So one of the questions that the people in the world are always asking.
Do they have untrue signs?
One of the things that the people in the world are always saying is what are their actual signs? Nobody really knows what the truth is about their signs. You know, they're always is it this or is it this or is it both of these things or what's the deal? We have the actual fact of it from the Adem story. She says the list of their names and what each person's sign actually is. So we've got Cyphus bears the blue flame. Stursus is in thrall of iron. Ferule, chill and dark of eye. Usnia lives in nothing but decay. Grey Dalcenti never speaks. Pale Alenta brings the blight. Last there is the Lord of Seven, hated, hopeless, sleepless, sane. Alaxel bears the shadow's hame. Yes?
What does enthralled with iron mean?
Right, so in...
he loves iron? I mean, I don't know what any of that means. Grey Dalcenti? Does that mean they are grey? Or they're sad? What does that mean?
They're sad? I don't know.
Which one is the lady? We don't know, do we?
The pale lady, Alenta.
Alenta? Which one was that? What did she have?
Brings the blight.
What is that?
Disease?
But how?
So... I don't know. She curses people with
So if you get does she bring corona?
So these are the signs, right? But the Cathay says they have a lot of experience hiding those telltale signs. So one question that I have is, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean that they are actually able to blend in with the general public? Or, that their signs aren't always active? Yeah, Cinder has black eyes, but does he only bring them out when he's murdering people? Or are they always out?
So that list that you just gave, that's their signs?
Yeah.
How is blight a sign?
I guess if people, start getting sick... then you'd be
That's a
oh,
sign?
They're coming. If they curse
What's
people
the other
and
one,
make them
iron?
sick.
How's
yeah.
that a sign?
Well, I don't know, because one of the things is iron rusts, but is that decay or is that the iron person doing that? Because one of them lives in decay, but then the other one is enthralled to iron.
Yeah, what does that mean too? Are they rotting?
That one is I don't know. But
are they causing other things to decay?
Well, yeah, because one of the things that happens is that iron rusts and is destroyed and stuff. That's a thing that happens in multiple situations where we know the Chandrian are there. So I don't know which of these that is, if that's decay or if that's the iron guy destroying the iron because he can do whatever he wants with the iron. I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know if they just walk around and these things just happen at all times whenever they're anywhere near.
Or do they cause it?
Right, or do they
purpose?
go somewhere and then they're all right, now I'm going to activate it and cause this stuff. Which, if that's true, that would be a reason why Cinder would not always have black eyes and could be disguising himself as other people. Because one of the other situations where we had discussed this before, we talked about he's the bandit leader, which is the only other person we know for a fact is Cinder. I sure do think that Master Ash is Cinder. But, to start off, we know for a fact that the bandit leader is Cinder. So thinking about that guy, you had said before, well, wasn't he wearing a helmet? That could be covering his eyes. But, the description of it doesn't specifically say a helmet. It says a coif, or whatever this word is. I don't know how to pronounce this word. A coif? Which I looked it up.
What is that?
It's face covering things that go here. It's chainmail that's on your head that leaves your face open around your face, but not covering it. So if that's...
Oh, he's not, like, just covering his eyes?
Well...
And then I'm like, this is suspicious.
Right,
He's
like,
just covering his eye.
I mean, I guess maybe he could be, but I still think it's suspicious that he'd be able to, like, be around these human bandits and not have his eyes looking like that.
What if they're not human?
The bandits? I mean, they're all dead.
They are.
They all died.
So you think that Cinder has his eyes out and they are black?
They are not black. No, I think he has his eyes out.
They could be out, and maybe the people, maybe they do think it's weird, but they're just going along like, this guy's got black eyes, that's weird. Because maybe they don't know that means it's a Chandrian. They're just like, yeah, okay.
I really highly doubt that he walks around with black eyes. It seems more likely that he would be able to turn it on and off. Like, there's no reason why not.
Like a light.
Yeah. Like, if everyone else
Why would you turn it on then? Just so people know that you're evil?
Yeah, it's scary. I don't know. When you're killing people, it's just like an extra, like...
Okay.
He's just really extra. But what purpose does having dark eyes serve in general? Like, why is that even one of them? Like, I mean, all these other ones seem like they can do things.
None of these signs match with each other.
Like, they're not related?
In any way. No.
Yeah, so I don't know where these came from or why.
Like, I guess if you're bringing blight and you're bringing decay, that would be similar, unless they are decaying. And then we got blue fire, which is like that's an actual sign. Is like, oh, there's blue fire. That means they're here. Black eyes, that's like part of your body that looks weird. Like, that's not related at all. What was the other ones? Iron, we don't know what's going on with the iron.
Never speaks.
How is that a sign? Do they mean like, not a sign, but like a
characteristic?
That's just what they do.
Like,
that's just their thing. That's how you distinguish them in the group.
Within the group,
like, Cinder's the one with the black eyes. This guy doesn't talk.
Yeah,
this guy's rotting. That's how you know which one they are when you see all the Chandrian. That's not a sign, but it's just like their description. They're like, character quirk, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think sign is like the word for that. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Can they create the fire?
I would assume.
It comes, like, he's a firebender, like, it comes from him. That's, like, way more magical than, like, Cinder.
I also don't know like, how they got these powers. Okay, well...
Can we get to the origin of the Chandrian?
Yeah, so this brings into question...
Can we figure that out?
This brings into question something that we've talked about before in other videos, which is, what kind of creature are they, really? Are they fairy creatures? Are they human creatures? Are they some other creature? What is it?
What is it?
Okay, so then really, to understand that, we really need to understand like all of these background stories that are told throughout both of these books, which there are a lot of, and they each are like slightly different, but they all have these interconnecting pieces which relate to this idea that like all of the stories are actually the same story, or whatever that description is. So let's just get into these stories, starting off with the Lanre one, which is the original like Lanre backstory told by Skarpi. So this story is about the Creation War, which, as we learn from Felurian's story, is the war that is between these knower people and shapers. And this started because of the creation of the Fae realm and the shapers stealing the moon into that realm. That was the origin of that war. So she says in her story, this was happening before men and before Fae. So the world was just a world. It just existed. There was one world. And there were these people who knew the names of things, the deep names of things, who understood things, but they didn't try to control them. But then these shaper people came along, and they saw a thing and wanted to change it and take mastery over it and control it. So these two groups of people basically like argued and fought all the time, and the knowers were always saying like to stop manipulating these things. Like they didn't like that the shapers were always changing things and making new things and manipulating things. Basically, the shapers just got tired of being told that they couldn't do whatever they wanted. So they went off and created the Fae realm, basically to have a place where they could do what they desired. That's what she says. So they were like, fuck this. Like,
damn, imagine if you could do that
right?
today.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me what to do. I'm gonna create my own world, and then I'll just do whatever I want over there. No laws, just nothing.
Yeah,
Like,
basically.
damn.
Yeah. So basically that is what the Jax story is implying, that Jax is the one who did that. And then the whole thing about him talking to the old man in that story, who's telling him, like, he's not a good listener and how he doesn't listen to things and understand things. That's basically, like, the knowers telling the shapers, you're not understanding these things, stop trying to change everything. And Jax, the shaper, being like, no, I'm gonna do what I want, I'm gonna create this fairy world. And then he stole the moon to bring it into the Fae world. And that was basically like the last straw for the knowers. They were like, all right, we're gonna go to war because of this. So that's when the war started, because they stole the moon. So this is the war that Lanre is fighting in. So presumably he's fighting on the side of the knowers, because when he gets to the big, like, terrible battle, the Battle of Drossentor, it says the enemies that were defeated there were set behind the doors of stone. And in Felurian's story, she says the great shaper who stole the moon was set behind the doors of stone. So that implies that Iax and Lanre were fighting each other and on opposite sides, if Iax is that great shaper.
Is that Valeritas?
I don't know. I don't...
What are the shapers? Is he a shaper? Because he's in the door, and the shapers are in the door.
Well, is he in the door, or is he
Allegedly.
not a person? I mean, if he's a person at all.
So if we believe that there is a tomb in there of Valeritas, this other story saying that the shapers got put in there because they were being naughty, so they had to go behind the door. So does that mean Valeritas is one of the shapers?
Well, it also, like, brings into question, so some people think that the doors of stone just refers to the Greystones that enter the fairy world, that are doors to the fairy world.
Oh,
but
they just threw them in the fairy world?
Well, no, see that I don't...
Isn't that where they already...
Isn't
that where they already wanted to be?
Right, that's their world. Yeah, like, so...
Go to your room! You've been bad!
Right, so I feel like it can't possibly be the same thing, because Felurian, like, she said, like, why would she say, oh, they put them in the doors of stone, if the doors of stone was actually the fairy world? Because she's living in the fairy world. She could just be like, they're here, they're in the fairy world. Like, she's not gonna say they're in some other place. So I think that actually means the door at the university / the Lackless door, like, whatever the connection there is. Like, that actual door.
It's all the door.
Yeah, like, the door. The door. That's...
door. They're in the door.
Yeah, that's what I believe. That the shapers are in that specific door / the Lackless door.
But are they alive or dead?
Presumably dead, but I have some thoughts about that. Okay, well, but then she also refers to this guy, this great shaper guy, as the shaper of the dark and changing eye. Which, I don't know what that means, but it makes me think of Selitos, because Selitos is the one that they're always saying has, like, this sight and, like, the eyes and is looking and, you know, stabbed out his own eyes and has all this eye content, I guess. So I was kind of like, okay, are Selitos and Iax actually on the same side then? Because it seems pretty certain that Iax is the one who started the war and stole the moon. Like, I believe that for a fact. Like, I believe that Iax and Jax are the same person, because Bast says Iax talked to the Cathay before he stole the moon. Like, he says Iax. Which actually is really weird, because that's what it says in my physical book, but when I was reading this on the ebook, when I was making all this, it actually said Jax in that sentence. It said Jax talked to the Cathay and stole the moon. I was like, what? But in my book it says Iax. Like, so I don't know what that's about.
Is it just a typo?
In the ebook?
Are Iax and Jax supposed to be the same?
I think they are supposed to be the same. Like, there's no reason they aren't the same. Like, everything points to they're the same.
Just an I in place of a J?
Yeah.
Do you think they typed I instead of J?
In the book? Or in the ebook?
Ever, yeah. All of it.
I don't know. I think that it should be I think the book is correct. I think the ebook is not correct. So I truly believe that Iax and Jax are the same person. There's no reason they wouldn't be. But talking about the I thing makes me think of Selitos too.
What if it's Iax? The letter I.
The great and changing I, changing from an I to a J.
Maybe he changed his name, and that can fuck you up, right?
I guess possibly, but back to Selitos. He is described as being the most powerful namer of anyone alive at that time. And so I'm just assuming that a namer can be either a knower or a shaper, because it lists Iax as one of the top 3 namers, like, under Selitos. Like, Selitos is number 1, and then there's, like, the top 3 under him, which is Iax, Aleph, and Lyra. And Iax is clearly a shaper, but Lyra and Aleph are presumably knowers, because they're with Lanre on the other side fighting. But this also makes me think about Denna's song, which is basically the parallel Lanre story. So we've got, like, the main Lanre story and then Denna's Lanre story, which is the complete opposite, where she's saying that Lanre was the hero. And she says, Lanre never from his purpose swayed, he fought the tide and fell and was betrayed. So in her story, Lanre was the hero who was betrayed by Selitos. And Lanre wasn't the traitor, Selitos is the traitor. And Mer Terinial, which is the city that Selitos is protecting, was not actually a good city, and that's why Lanre destroyed it, because he was, like, trying to get rid of Selitos's, like, craziness. And what it says is...
I think that they're all evil.
I mean, well, maybe. But, like, what it says is, Selitos was a tyrant, an insane monster who tore out his own eye in fury at Lanre's clever trickery. Destroying his own eye is a changing eye thing. Like, if Selitos is actually the crazy one and Lanre was trying to defeat him, is he the great shaper, or is it Iax?
So you're saying, okay, Selitos is Iax, and Iax is bad, therefore Selitos is bad, therefore Denna's story is the true one. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe. So I don't know if Iax and Selitos are the same person, but I feel like maybe they might be on the same side, or based on this information, could be on the same side. He could be a shaper, not a knower.
Maybe that is what Lanre believed. Maybe he thought that Selitos was evil, and that's why he killed... Did he kill him? No, he betrayed him.
He
did whatever he
did
because he thought that, oh, this city's bad, this man is bad.
Right.
But maybe that wasn't necessarily true. That's just what he thought, because wasn't he cray at that point? Because after Lyra died, so he was going nuts, right?
Yeah.
So maybe he thought that he was doing the right thing, but he wasn't.
Right, true. That could be true.
He thought that he was the hero, but he actually wasn't.
Right, well, that kind of brings us into my next topic. Going back to the moment in the war where Lanre is killed and brought back to life, which is just suspicious in general. So the thing that Lanre was fighting when he died was this great beast with scales of black iron, whose breath was a darkness that smothered men. So just bringing up the topic of a darkness, shadows. Lanre is killed, and Lyra brings him back to life using what I would assume is naming, because she calls his name 3 times. But then later we have these rumors about Lyra's death and Lanre going mad and killing himself and chasing after her in the underworld and all this stuff that, may or may not have happened. To me, I am like, is this, like, him, like, going crazy and, like, all this stuff, like, is it somehow a side effect of him being brought back to life? Like, did he not actually come back as himself? And if Iax is the one that was set behind the doors of stone at that battle where Lanre died, did Iax, like, somehow take over him when they were both dead? Like if they're both dead or whatever. So does that mean
that he is Iax right now?
Yes, that's my
like, he's not actually Lanre?
Well, that's my theory, yes. So, and then after that happened, it says that Lanre made armor from that beast that he killed, and the armor fit him as closely as a second skin of shadow. So again, with this shadow imagery of this beast that he killed that is, like, now part of his armor. Okay, so then we have Lanre comes to Selitos and binds him with naming, and Selitos is confused because Lanre was never a namer. But guess who was equal to Selitos in naming? Iax is one of those great namers. So, what Lanre says...
Is that why he named Wait, does he name himself Haliax? Who named him
Well,
that?
yeah, I guess I would
It
assume.
rhymes with Iax.
Well, yeah, it
so
has
maybe he
Iax
was
in
like-
it. So basically,
Yeah.
like, what Lanre says in this part is, like, my wife is dead, deceit and treachery brought me to it, but her death is on my hands. It says, Lanre had sought the power to bring Lyra back from the dead. He sought knowledge where knowledge is better left alone, and gained it at a terrible price. But he couldn't bring her back, so
He's saying this?
that's, like, what the story says. Like, in the narration.
Oh, I thought he was talking about himself in third person, and I was like, yeah, that's sus.
No, so basically, like, he couldn't bring her back to life, so he tried to kill himself because he didn't want to go on living without her, but his new powers forced him to return from death. So basically, like, Haliax is unable to die because of whatever, like, power is happening here, like, whatever he has and found. So he comes to Selitos and destroys the whole city and asks and pleads for Selitos to kill him because he wants to die. And then what he says is...
Because he knew that it was wrong.
Right, so then what he says is, I am no longer the Lanre you knew. I am Haliax. And then he says, all is lost to me. No Lyra, no sweet escape of sleep, no blissful forgetfulness. Even madness is beyond me. And then he says, I have only the hope of oblivion after everything is gone and the Alu fall nameless from the sky. Basically, like, he's trying to burn down the whole rest of the world because if the whole world is destroyed,
can die?
that's the only way he'll also be destroyed. Yeah, like, that's what he's trying to do,
That's
I would
fucked up.
assume. So then Selitos puts this other curse on him by speaking the long name in his heart on him and on all of his followers. And he says, may your face be always held in shadow. Your own name will be turned against you, that you shall have no peace. May it last until the world ends and the Alu fall nameless from the sky. But I'm also kind of like, how is that any different than how he already was? Like, he was already, like, fucked up. Like, what is your curse even doing besides making him a shadow? So basically, like, the theory that I have is that Haliax is actually Iax and not Lanre, or at least, like, not the original Lanre. Like,
But do you think they were, like, sharing a body?
yeah, like, something like that. Like, somehow Iax,
Because it kind of sounds like Lanre, he had awareness that what he did was wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
So
somehow...
maybe he's just, like, possessing him.
Right, yeah, something like that.
And then he was like, oh, fuck, that's not what I was trying to do.
Yeah, exactly. Like, somehow Iax took control of Lanre's body and mind and turned him into this, like, cursed thing. Like, he was doing all this weird stuff, and now he can't sleep or die or whatever. And so, like, maybe Lanre is still, like, slightly in control and understands that, and, like, that's why he's trying to kill himself.
Or maybe not.
Well, but he's trying to kill himself, though. Because he doesn't want to be like this. He doesn't like
They're
that
not
he's
doing
like
a very
this.
good job, are they?
Of doing what?
Destroying the world.
Well, I don't know. See that?
Like, they're not doing
know.
that at all. They're just
Right.
chilling around, murdering people sometimes.
Yeah. So I don't
Like,
know what they're.
what are they doing?
I don't know. So I don't like. He wants to kill himself, but maybe he can't because of whatever Selitos did, the other curse. So like maybe before Iax was trying to escape from the death, like the behind the doors, and he somehow like linked himself to Lanre, but just ended up like destroying Lanre instead. So now Lanre just wants to be normal and get rid of it. So he's calling himself this Haliax version because it's closer to Iax's name. I don't know. Because he doesn't want people to think that Lanre is bad. Like, he doesn't want to be known as Lanre. Because Lanre was not bad.
What if he forgot Iax's name and he's like, I know it ends with Iax. Haliax, that's what it is.
Forgets his name. It ends in
even-
Iax. It is Iax. Like, what are you
Yeah.
Was it Iax or was it something longer? Let me just add a little bit to that.
Yeah. What does Hal mean?
I don't know.
Does it mean something?
I don't know. Like,
Maybe
what
it
is the
means like
prefix?
evil Iax.
Breath, maybe? This thing seems to say breath. Breath. Alive Iax. He's breathing now.
What's
like,
the one in the poem?
Alaxel. Yeah, I don't know where that comes
What
from.
is that?
I don't know.
What
is
is
that
that?
the true name in his
Is
heart?
that the long name in his
Right.
heart? Yeah. I mean, it has axe in it.
Right, they all have X in it, so suspicious. So then there's this other also suspicious description of Jax that says people like speculated that he has a drop of fairy blood in him, or he was cursed / had a demon riding in his shadow. So if that's a description of Iax, like, Sure does sound like Haliax, huh? So, in the end of the Lanre story, we've got Selitos becoming the Emir, or forming the Emir, and basically like refusing to become an angel and work for Aleph because he wants to fight for revenge against Lanre for personal reasons.
What is Aleph doing during this whole war?
I guess he's just fighting. I don't know where he is or who he is or what he's doing. So basically that pretty much concludes the Lanre story backstory information. But then we also have this story about Tehlu and his backstory, which I don't really care about. But the part that interests me is his fight with Encanis, which Encanis is the one demon who eluded Tehlu, and whose face was...
Still?
Well, yeah, that was like, he was like the original one that like got away, and then like was wreaking havoc, and then Tehlu like eventually like gets him. But the description of him is his face was all in shadow. So again, shadow content, making me think that it's actually Haliax.
Oh, I was gonna say, is it the same creature that he was fighting? That he made the armor out of?
Maybe, because, like, yeah, so my question is this part in the Tehlu story, like, when does that take place? Is that after the Lanre story? Is that after Tehlu becomes an angel? Or is that before the war? Is this during the war? Like, is Tehlu actually Lanre? Like, I don't know. Because this story mirrors the story told by the Adem, because it talks about Encanis going around and destroying 6 different cities for 6 days, and then on the 7th day, the last city was saved, or whatever. And the story from Ademre says there were 7 cities and 1 additional city, and it's like the enemy came and poisoned the 7 of them against the Empire, and 6 of them betrayed their cities, so like 6 of these cities were burned down. And then 1 city remained, and this one guy didn't betray the Lithani, and his city didn't fall. So it's the same, like, 6 cities were destroyed, 1 city wasn't destroyed. It's the same thing, which seems to be the, like, Chandrian destroying the cities thing, like Lanre burning Myrtaniel or whatever. Like, so it makes it seem like the Encanis and Tehlu fighting is the same fighting as Lanre and the Chandrian.
So then who would Tehlu is Selitos
I don't...
in this scenario?
What this makes it seem like is that Encanis and Haliax are the same person. Haliax is that demon that's fighting Tehlu somehow. But in that story, Encanis is killed by Tehlu eventually, at the end of the story. He's bound to this iron wheel and burned in a pit. So I was like, okay, is that just like a metaphor for something that happened to Haliax? Or like for being locked away in the Doors of Stone? Or maybe they're not the same, they're just parallel stories. So then like my last question about all of those story information is, in the Adem story, there's this one person who didn't betray the city, but was still poisoned by Haliax. Who is this one person that, like, didn't betray them, but was, like, one of them? Like, is it Selitos? Is it Lanre's true being? Like, or is it just some other mysterious warrior that's out there somewhere opposing them to this day? Like, so that is the backstory information that we have.
So, once again, this video is too long because there's too much info, or lack thereof, really. Too much discussion of no info. So we're gonna split it again. So look forward to part 2, where we continue our Chandrian discussion.
Yeah, we'll see you there.